Leo lived a quiet life on the edge of a small town. His home was simple, just a small house near the forest. He didn't have many friends, but he didn't mind. Most of his free time was spent reading books, fixing small machines, and playing with his pet cat, Muffin. Muffin was a soft orange cat with bright green eyes and a calm nature. She followed Leo around like a little shadow. One evening, while Leo was sipping tea on his porch, a loud humming noise came from deep inside the forest. It wasn't a normal sound. It wasn't a car or a helicopter. It was low, smooth, and made the ground vibrate just a little. Muffin's ears perked up. She stood still for a moment, then jumped off Leo's lap and ran into the woods. "Muffin, wait!" Leo called out, setting his cup down. He grabbed a flashlight and followed her. The deeper he went into the trees, the stronger the strange sound became. Then suddenly the noise stopped. Leo stepped into a small clearing. His eyes widened. There, in the middle of the clearing, was a glowing silver pod, about the size of a small car. Steam rose from the ground around it, and faint lights blinked on its surface. The pod opened with a soft hiss. Leo stepped back. Someone stepped out. It was a woman, tall and graceful, with smooth bluish skin and long silver hair that shimmered in the moonlight. Her eyes were large, bright, and not human. She wore a long robe that looked like it was made of stars. But the most surprising thing was what she did next. She didn't look at Leo. She didn't even seem to notice the strange place she was in. Instead, she bent down and gently picked up Muffin, who had been sitting right next to the pod. Leo stood there frozen. The woman held the cat close to her chest, her eyes wide with wonder. Muffin purred softly and rested her head against the woman's shoulder. The alien woman smiled. Leo finally found his voice. Who are you?" The woman looked up at him. She blinked, as if trying to understand. Then she said a single word, soft and slow. "Safe." Leo didn't know what that meant. Was she asking for safety, or was she saying that she was safe? Before he could ask, the woman walked toward him, still holding Muffin. "Safe," she repeated. Leo noticed that her steps were unsteady. She looked tired, almost like she had been running or hiding. She reached the edge of the clearing and stopped just a few feet away from him. He looked at her, then at Muffin, who seemed completely calm in her arms. If Muffin wasn't scared, maybe he didn't need to be either. "You want to come inside?" Leo asked carefully. She tilted her head but didn't answer. Leo slowly turned and began walking back toward his house. After a few seconds, he heard footsteps behind him. She was following him. When they reached the porch, Leo opened the door and stepped inside. The woman followed. She looked around with curiosity but said nothing. She sat down on the floor, still holding Muffin. Leo brought her a glass of water. She didn't drink it. She just looked at it for a while, then placed it gently on the floor. "Can you understand me?" Leo asked. She looked at him, then said, "Yet," some words. Her voice was soft, almost musical. Her eyes didn't leave his face. "I'm Leo," he said, pointing to himself. "You?" She hesitated, then slowly said, "Aurelia." Leo nodded. "That's a beautiful name." Aurelia didn't respond. She looked down at Muffin and gently brushed her fur. That night, Leo gave her a blanket and let her rest on the couch. He didn't sleep much. His mind was full of questions. Who was she really? Why was she here? And why did she care so much about a cat? He didn't know the answers yet, but something told him this was just the beginning. The next morning, Leo woke up early. He rubbed his eyes and walked to the living room, not sure if everything he saw last night was real. But when he stepped in, the truth was sitting right there on his couch. Aurelia. She was awake, sitting cross-legged, and Muffin was curled up in her lap, purring softly. Aurelia was gently stroking the cat's fur like it was the most precious thing she had ever touched. "Good morning," Leo said, trying to sound calm. Aurelia looked at him and gave a small nod. "Morning," she said, her voice slow but clear. Leo was surprised. You're learning fast. Aurelia touched her forehead lightly and smiled. I learn when I listen. Leo walked to the kitchen and made toast and tea. He offered some to her, but she shook her head. No food, she said softly. Different body. Leo didn't ask more. He didn't want to scare her. He sat across from her and watched as she focused only on Muffin. Every few minutes, she looked at the cat and whispered things in her own language. Gentle, musical sounds. Leo finally spoke again. Why are you here? I mean, really here? Aurelia didn't answer right away. She looked down at Muffin, then said, I needed to see. See what? Your world. Your people. Leo leaned forward. So you're a visitor? She nodded slowly, not aloud. Secret. That word made Leo sit up straight. Wait, you're not supposed to be here? Aurelia didn't reply. She just kept petting the cat. Later that day, Leo tried to call someone, maybe scientists, the government, or anyone who might know what to do. But as he stood with his phone, Aurelia gently placed her hand over his and said, Please no. Her eyes were wide. If they come, I go. Far. Leo saw fear in her face. Not fear for herself, but fear that she might be taken away. Muffin, still in her lap, licked her hand like she could feel her worry too. He sighed and put the phone down. Fine. You can stay, for now. Aurelia smiled softly. Thank you. In the following hours, Leo tried to understand more about her. He showed her books, videos, and pointed to things around the house, teaching her simple English. She listened carefully and repeated words. But no matter what they did, Aurelia always kept Muffin close. Leo found it strange. You really like that cat, don't you? Aurelia looked at him with a thoughtful expression. She accepts. No fear, no question, just warm. Leo chuckled. That's Muffin. She accepts anyone who gives her food or pets her ears. Aurelia tilted her head. She chose me. Leo raised an eyebrow. You think Muffin chose you? Yes, she said, smiling. She saw me. Didn't run. Stayed. That made Leo pause. It was true. Muffin had never been scared of Aurelia. In fact, she seemed more relaxed with the alien princess than with most humans. The next day, Leo suggested she go outside for fresh air. He thought maybe she would want to explore the forest or see the sky. But when they stepped outside and Muffin stayed behind, Aurelia stopped. She didn't move. Cat? She asked. She'll be fine. Just inside. Aurelia shook her head. No. I stay if she stays. Leo blinked. You mean you won't go without her? She looked serious. No. Cat is my friend. Leo didn't know whether to laugh or be confused. All right, he said finally. Let's go back in. Back inside, Aurelia sat with Muffin again, like nothing had happened. Leo sat across from her. You didn't come here just for a cat. So what's the real reason? Aurelia looked at him for a long moment. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of thoughts. She didn't answer. Not yet. Instead, she gently placed Muffin down, stood up and walked to the window. She looked at the trees, the sky, the birds flying by. This world is peaceful, she whispered. I wanted to feel that. Leo watched her in silence. He didn't know her full story, but now he was sure of one thing. She wasn't just interested in his cat. Something deeper was going on, and he was slowly becoming part of it. That night, the wind blew softly through the trees outside. Leo sat on his couch reading a book, but his eyes kept drifting to Aurelia. She was sitting on the floor, her legs folded beneath her, and Muffin lay sleeping beside her. A dim lamp lit the room, casting long shadows across the walls. Aurelia stared at the ceiling, quiet and deep in thought. Leo closed his book and spoke gently. You're not just here by accident, are you? She didn't move. I mean, you didn't crash here. You didn't just come for a walk in the forest. There's something else. Aurelia slowly turned her head toward him. Her eyes were calm, but something had changed. She took a deep breath. You're right, she said softly. Leo leaned forward. Then tell me. She stood up and walked to the window, pulling the curtain slightly to look outside. I was sent here, from my world, far away. Why? Aurelia turned around. To observe, to learn about humans, quietly without being seen. Leo blinked. So, you're some kind of spy? She shook her head. Not spy, more like listener, watcher. But you broke the rules. Aurelia nodded. Yes, I was told not to. Speak to any human, not to stay long, just look, learn, and return. Leo frowned. Then why did you stay? She looked at Muffin, then back at Leo. Because I felt something I didn't expect. Leo stood up. What do you mean? Aurelia took a step closer. I saw how you cared for this creature. Not for power, not for reward, just kindness, just love. I had never seen that before. Leo smiled a little. It's just a cat. To you, maybe, Aurelia said, but to me it showed who you are. Leo was quiet. He didn't know what to say. Aurelia continued. In my world, feelings are hidden. Duty comes first. She stopped. Leo looked at her. You are what? I am a princess, she said softly. Daughter of the Empress of Kaelora. Leo stared at her. Wait, you're royalty? Aurelia nodded. Yes, I was chosen to come here because I obey orders. I follow rules. But when I saw your world, I didn't want to obey anymore. Leo sat down slowly, processing her words. So you stayed here, with me, because of Muffin? Because of what you saw? Aurelia stepped closer. Yes, but not just for the cat, she paused. I wanted to understand you. Why you are kind. Why you live alone. Why you talk to your cat like she's family. Why, when you saw a stranger in the woods, you didn't run or fight. You offered help. Leo rubbed the back of his neck, a bit shy. I don't like seeing someone lost or scared. That's why I stayed, Aurelia said. To be near someone like that, someone like you. Silence filled the room. Then Aurelia spoke again. But now there's danger. Leo's heart skipped. Danger? I was followed, she whispered. I'm not sure if they found me yet. But if they do, they'll try to take me back. Maybe hurt you to do it. Leo stood up quickly. No, they can't hurt you. Or me. We'll figure it out. Aurelia looked at him, her expression soft. You're not afraid? I am, Leo said honestly. But I'm also not leaving you alone. Aurelia smiled, really smiled, for the first time. Then I'm glad I came to you. She walked over to Muffin, gently picked her up and handed her to Leo. Muffin purred as Leo held her close. This cat was my excuse, Aurelia said, but you were always the reason. Leo felt something warm in his chest. He didn't understand everything yet, but one thing was clear. This wasn't just about a cat or a mission or even a hidden alien world. Something real was starting between them, and it was only the beginning. The next morning started like any other. The sun rose slowly, filling Leo's small home with a soft golden light. Birds chirped outside, and the smell of fresh leaves filled the air. Leo made toast and tea. Aurelia sat by the window, quietly, brushing Muffin's fur. But something felt different. Leo felt it in his chest, a quiet tension, like the calm before a storm. Then it happened. A loud, deep hum echoed through the sky. Leo stepped outside and looked up. A black shape flew across. The clouds, fast, sharp, and not human. It stopped midair above the forest and slowly began to lower itself. Dust and leaves blew in all directions as a strange craft landed between the trees. Leo rushed back inside. Aurelia, something's here. Aurelia's face turned pale. She stood up quickly, her eyes locked on the window. "They found me," she whispered. Before Leo could ask who, a loud thud shook the front door. The air around the house grew still. Another thud, this time stronger. Then the door burst open. A tall figure stepped inside. He wore black armor that shimmered like metal and moved like water. His eyes glowed faint blue beneath a sharp helmet. In his hand was a staff that buzzed with silent power. Aurelia took a step back. No, not him. The figure spoke in a strong, cold voice. "Princess Aurelia of House Calora, you have broken royal law. You must return now." Leo stood, in front of her. "She's not going anywhere with you." The guard didn't even look at him. "Human, step aside." "No," Leo said firmly. "She has the right to choose." The guard raised his weapon. Aurelia shouted, "Stop! You hurt him. I will never return with you." The guard hesitated, lowering his staff slightly. "You've changed," he said to her. "The Empress will not be pleased." Aurelia stepped forward, standing beside Leo. "Tell my mother I choose peace. I choose my own path." "Then you are no longer princess," the guard said coldly. "You are nothing to the Empire." Leo clenched his fists. "Leave, now." Suddenly Muffin jumped off the couch and ran toward the guard. She hissed and scratched his leg. The alien stumbled back, shocked. His armor reacted strangely. It sparked and changed color, as if confused by her touch. Aurelia's eyes widened. Muffin's energy. It's disrupting his suit. The guard growled and raised his staff again, but Aurelia grabbed Leo's hand. "We have to run." They bolted out the back door and into the forest. Behind them, the guard shouted something in his alien language, but he didn't follow. His suit was still flickering strangely. Leo and Aurelia ran through the trees, dodging branches and roots. Muffin ran ahead faster than either of them. They didn't stop until they reached a small cave hidden behind thick bushes. They slid inside, panting and out of breath. Leo sat on the ground, his heart racing. "What was that guy?" "He's the royal enforcer," Aurelia said. "He brings back those who disobey the Empress. I didn't think they would send him." Leo looked at her. "Why didn't he chase us?" Aurelia touched her chin thoughtfully. Muffin's touch confused his armor. That technology isn't used to Earth's life forms. Something about her disrupted it. Leo looked down at Muffin, who was licking her paw like nothing had happened. "So Muffin just saved us?" Aurelia smiled. "Yes, she is more special than we thought." Leo leaned back against the cave wall. "What happens now? Will they come again?" "Maybe," Aurelia said. "But now they know I've chosen to stay." Leo looked at her. "And you're sure about that?" She met his eyes. "Yes. I left my title, my power, everything, for this moment." Leo reached out and gently took her hand. "Then we'll face whatever comes. Together." Aurelia squeezed his hand. Together. Muffin purred and curled up between them as if agreeing too. And in that quiet cave, far from royalty, far from empires, the princess, the human, and the brave little cat shared something stronger than rules or duty. They shared a bond, and it was just getting stronger. The cave was cold, but Leo lit a small fire using dry sticks and his lighter. The soft glow lit the walls and warmed their hands. Aurelia sat close, her silver hair reflecting the flames. Muffin rested in her lap, eyes closed and tail flicking, now and then. Leo broke the silence. "So, what now? We can't stay here forever." Aurelia nodded slowly. "We need to move soon. The guard might return with others." Leo looked into the fire. "If they send more, we won't be able to stop them." Aurelia reached into her robe and pulled out a small silver cube. She pressed aside, and it opened like petals of a flower. A tiny light floated above it. "What's that?" Leo asked. "A signal device," she said. "It connects me to the Empire's main net, but I've changed it. Now it only reaches one person." My mother, the Empress. Leo's eyes widened. You're going to talk to her? Aurelia nodded. She needs to hear my voice, to know this choice is mine. Muffin yawned and shifted in her lap. Aurelia smiled and gently stroked her fur. This cat, she's simple, small, yet full of power. The Empire doesn't understand things like this. They only understand control. Leo leaned forward. And you want to change that? I want them to see that emotions, kindness, and freedom are not weaknesses, Aurelia said. They are strength. She touched the light and began to speak in her language, soft and clear. The light pulsed with each word. Leo didn't understand, but he could feel the meaning in her voice. When she finished, the light dimmed and the cube closed. What did you say? He asked. I told her I will not return, she replied. I gave up my crown. I want a life where I can choose who I am. Leo didn't know what to say. He was amazed. A princess gave up an empire. For Earth. For him? Suddenly the cube blinked twice. Aurelia looked at it sharply. What does that mean? Leo asked quickly. She responded, Aurelia said. Her voice was tense. It's a royal message. The cube opened again and a small image of the Empress appeared, made of light and static. Her face was calm, but cold. Her voice was strong. Aurelia, you have shamed your name. You are no longer heir to the throne. You will live as a common being. You are cut off from the Empire. If you stay on that planet, you are on your own. The image vanished. Leo stared. That's it? Aurelia closed the cube. That's everything. I'm free, but also forgotten. Leo placed a hand on her shoulder. You're not forgotten. You're here. You're strong. She looked at him with gentle eyes. Thank you, Leo. They left the cave the next morning. They didn't return to Leo's house. It was too risky. Instead, they followed a small trail that led deeper into the hills. There was an old cabin Leo had used years ago when camping. It wasn't much, but it had a roof and walls, and now, it was their safe place. There, Aurelia started learning more about human life. Leo showed her how to use basic tools, how to boil water, and even how to toast bread over fire. She listened carefully and practiced with care. In the evenings, they would sit outside watching stars. Aurelia often pointed at the sky and whispered names of stars in her language. She taught Leo a few words, too. He liked how they sounded, soft and full of wonder. One day, while collecting wood, Leo found Aurelia sitting quietly with Muffin. She had made a circle of small stones and placed flowers inside it. What's that? He asked. A promise, she said. In my world, when you make a circle with flowers, it means a new beginning. Leo smiled. Then let's make a new one together. They added more flowers side by side. For the first time, Aurelia looked like she belonged to this world, not just visiting but living, and Leo felt it too. This wasn't just a strange chapter in his life. This was a new story, one full of choice, trust, and the warmth of something real. The days passed quietly in the cabin. Far from the noise of towns, cities, and spaceships, Leo and Aurelia found peace in the simple life. They cooked over fire, took care of Muffin, and shared stories, some in English, some in her language. It wasn't a normal life, but for them, it felt more real than anything else. One morning, Aurelia sat on the wooden step outside, watching the sky. Her silver hair shimmered in the sunlight. Leo handed her a cup of warm tea and sat beside her. You look like you're thinking hard, he said. Aurelia nodded. I feel peace here, but something inside me says it's not finished yet. Leo tilted his head. What do you mean? I left the Empire. I gave up everything, she said softly, but I still feel watched, judged. Leo looked up. The sky was bright and clear, but he knew what she meant. You think someone's still out there, from your world? Aurelia didn't answer directly. Instead, she pulled out the small silver cube again. She stared at it. "I want to send one more message," she said. "But not to my mother, to someone higher." Leo was surprised. "Someone higher than the Empress?" "In a way, yes," Aurelia said. "The High Council. They control all royal law. They think humans are too dangerous, too emotional. That's why they don't allow connections between our kinds." Leo frowned. "Then why do you want to speak to them?" "Because I believe they're wrong," she said with steady eyes. "And I believe it's time someone told them the truth." Leo looked at her in silence, then nodded. "All right, let's do it." Inside the cabin, Aurelia placed the cube on the table. She pressed 3 corners at once, a secret code. The device opened again, brighter this time, and a long blue light floated above it. It began recording. Aurelia stood straight and spoke clearly in her language. Leo watched, not understanding the words but feeling their power. Her voice was strong but calm. Her face showed no fear. When she finished, the cube closed itself with a soft hum. "What did you say?" Leo asked. "I told them what I learned," she said. "That humans are not wild creatures. They are kind, brave, and full of feeling, and that feelings are not weakness." Leo smiled. "And you really believe they'll listen?" Aurelia looked unsure. "Maybe not, but maybe one of them will, and one voice can be enough to start a change." They took the cube outside that night. Aurelia pointed it at the stars and pressed a small symbol on the side. A thin beam of light shot into the sky, fast and silent. The message was sent. A few days passed. Nothing strange happened. They continued their peaceful routine. Aurelia began planting small herbs near the cabin. Leo repaired the broken fence. Muffin slept in the sunlight, guarding the steps like a small queen. Then one evening, as the sky turned orange, the cube blinked again. Aurelia picked it up carefully. A new message had arrived. The image that appeared was not her mother. It was someone else, a man with deep-set eyes and long silver markings on his forehead. He wore the robes of the High Council. His voice was calm but serious. "Princess Aurelia, your message was received. Your words were unexpected. We will not interfere further. We have chosen to watch, for now." The image vanished. Aurelia sat down slowly. Leo raised an eyebrow. "That sounds like a good thing?" Aurelia nodded. "Yes. It means they won't stop us, but they are watching." Leo put an arm around her. "Let them watch. They'll see something good." She smiled softly. "Yes. Let them see what kindness looks like." That night, they sat under the stars again. Aurelia rested her head on Leo's shoulder. Muffin curled up between them, purring gently. The galaxy was wide. The Empire was powerful. But in one small cabin hidden in the hills, a new kind of hope had begun. One message, one bond, one choice. And it all started with a cat. The wind was calm, the forest quiet. Leo stepped outside the cabin and stretched his arms. Morning sunlight touched the trees, and the scent of wildflowers filled the air. He smiled. This place, once just an old camping cabin, now felt like a home. Inside, Aurelia was humming a soft tune from her world as she boiled water for tea. She wore simple human clothes now, a plain shirt and soft trousers, but they suited her. Her hair was tied back, and a small flower was tucked behind. Her ear, she had become a part of this world. Muffin jumped up on the windowsill, tail flicking as she watched birds in the trees. Her sharp green eyes missed nothing. Leo walked in and gave her a quick scratch behind the ears. "She acts like she owns the place," Leo said with a grin. Aurelia turned and smiled. "She does. We just live here." They sat at the table together, sipping tea. No words were needed. The silence between them was warm and peaceful. Later that day, Aurelia helped Leo carry water from the nearby stream. As they worked, they laughed about small things. How Muffin tried to chase a butterfly but gave up halfway. or how Leo once slipped on wet grass and blamed a rock. But as the sun began to lower, Aurelia grew quiet. Leo noticed. "Something on your mind?" She nodded. "I've been thinking about the future." He placed the water jug down. "Go on." "I know the council said they won't stop us, but my people, they might still see me as a traitor." Leo shook his head. "Not to me, and maybe not to others. Some might see what you saw." Aurelia looked up at the sky. "Maybe. I hope so. But even if they don't, I'm not afraid anymore." Leo smiled. "Good. Because you're not alone." That night they went into the nearby village for the first time. Aurelia wore a cap to hide her unusual ears and kept her eyes down. But the people didn't seem to notice. They bought vegetables, some seeds, and even a toy for Muffin, a small mouse that squeaked when touched. The shopkeeper, an old woman, smiled at Aurelia. "You're new here?" Aurelia hesitated, but Leo answered quickly. "She's staying with me in the hills, just learning how we live." The woman nodded kindly. "She has kind eyes." Aurelia bowed slightly. "Thank you." That one small moment gave her confidence. She smiled on the way back. Back at the cabin, she planted the new seeds in the soft earth behind the house. Leo helped her dig small holes and Muffin kept watch from the fence. After the garden was done, they sat under the stars again. This had become their favorite part of the day. "Do you miss your world?" Leo asked gently. Aurelia thought for a moment. "I miss the stars there, the singing stones, the floating rivers, but I don't miss the rules, or the silence inside the palace." Leo nodded. "And here?" "Here I hear birds. I feel grass. I smell fresh bread. I feel free." Muffin climbed into her lap, purring loudly. Aurelia stroked her gently. "She still chose you," Leo said. Aurelia looked at him. "No. We both chose each other. Just like I chose you." Leo looked at her, his heart full. He reached out and held her hand. She didn't pull away. The sky above them sparkled with stars, and for a moment everything felt right. No empires, no fear, just a boy, a cat, and a former princess who had found something rare and beautiful. Peace. And even though their story had started in a strange and unexpected way, it had grown into something real. Love had not come from power, wealth, or big moments. It had come from kindness, trust, and a quiet cat who had seen what others didn't. Aurelia leaned her head on Leo's shoulder. "I'm not a princess anymore," she whispered. Leo smiled. "No, you're something even better. You're you." And beside them, Muffin let out a happy little meow like she agreed.